Hello, everybody, and welcome to incorrectly named PRs. Hold on, I gotta change this. Here is our Chud Division PRs featuring myself and Wake, who thank you for, by the way, being a guest and also doing your own PRs for this. For our division. So we're going to hop in with the usual disclaimer for PRs, especially because I know we have a couple folks that haven't tuned into PRs of mine before. When you do PRs, the analysis for the teams is done in a vacuum, so we don't consider player skill. Player with a low-ranked team can in fact win the season easily. I have placed teams in the lowest rank in a PR, and then they win the whole season before. That's happened, and if it does happen here, great. But this is really more just a chance to discuss the teams in more depth and offer some feedback to people who may be considering changing their team, making it better, and also just to kind of talk about and spice up some stuff within the division. So
Yeah, actually, if the bottom team wins the season, it means we're stupid and wrong, and that we need to delete the video.
that's true. I haven't deleted a video on my channel in a while, but for the Chud division, I might be willing to consider it. We are gonna go ahead, I think, and just get started. And Wake, I'll have you start with our bottom ranked team,
All
which
right.
is
So
Draco.
at number 11, we have Draco. Um, this team is super weird. Um, Not in ways that I necessarily like, honestly. I think the Zard, like, if you're gonna spend 20 points on a Mega, like, obviously Zard is worth that in theory, but like, I just don't really see the support for it here. I think like I've seen really cool Zard wide draft teams just so far in this brief little period that we've had champions, like where they either it's like either a really strong Tailwind mode, or they have a really strong Trick Room mode that is then complemented by Zard. I'm sure there's other ways you can build Zard, but I just think having neither of those things is kind of rough. In general, like the speed tiers are like decent here. They're not terrible. You have a couple above 110, and
They're
that's
really
cool.
bad on the slow end, I will say.
Yes, the fast end is okay, but
And there's not a trick
your
room center.
slowest, yeah, no Trick Room. Ryan and I agreed very easily. Like, yeah, that's no bueno. But there's just a lot of weird type overlap here that doesn't feel justified to me. Like, um, it's one thing if like you need a dark type and it's like Weavile or Liepard and it's gonna be a Sash bot the whole time anyway. But like Hydreigon, Gambit, Gyarados, like I just don't
Yeah.
know why. I mean, Gyarados can not Mega, but also like I don't know. When are you ever Mega-ing Gyarados over Zard? I guess is my thought, but then again, it's like, well, Zard's not really well supported here anyway, so maybe it can still work. Um, but yeah, that's just generally my issue here. Like Blaziken is just so random here, bro. Like, what is bro doing here? It makes no sense to me. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've got to say about this one.
I've got a couple things. There's this move in the game. It's called Close Combat. And man, it rips a lot of this team apart. I mean, technically, yes, you have a lot of great Zoroark targets, so that's nice, I guess. But I feel like there should be more going on. I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Wakeman, but I really think Zardwai wants good Tailwind support. I think it's one of
Yeah,
its biggest things, and this team just does not hit that button for me.
yeah,
Um, Also, like, the Zard Y actively nerfs most of the team. Because if your Gyarados is never Mega-ing, it can't click its stab move in the sun. Congratulations, your King Gambit now dies to non-fire types clicking fire type moves into you. Your Gudra also is now taking more damage in Sun. So is your Ariados, that's your redirection, and your Superior. The team does not, in my opinion, justify the Zard. And part of the reason for that is because, as you can see with the little Mega Swampert in the corner, this team was not designed with Megazard and Y in mind. And I think that and just lack of that planning throughout has really hurt this draft. There are some things I like. like I said, I actually kind of think the Zoroark's good on this team. I think it can do a lot.
Yeah, agreed.
Raichu is, in a vacuum, a pretty good pick. I like it as a support option in general, and it's nice for Zard Y. And Gyarados, not going to knock that any. Ariados is good value for where it's at. And, it's King Gambit, Hydreigon, Zard Y. Like, these are Pokemon that are just strong, Like, they're just individually good. I just don't think they cohesion together into anything especially good. So, yeah, those are my thoughts.
Yeah, really the biggest, like, the crux of the issue here for me is just, like, defensive synergy.
Yeah.
And just how there's, like, not any of it here.
Also, so many 4X weaknesses, man. Like, it's... If you're never gonna Mega the Gyarados, then if Raichu's not on the field, that guy's cooked. Hydreigon's got that 4X Fairy weakness. King Gambit's got the 4X Fighting weakness that also a lot of your other Pokemon have. Zard Y, of course, weak to Rock Slide. It's just kind of a lot.
Yeah, and then you have Pokemon like Raichu, Superior, Blaziken, and Zoroark that, like, sure, they're not 4 times weak to anything, but, like, any super effective hit will take them out because they're just not built like that.
Yeah. So, best of luck. I think you should get some Sun Abusers, and I think a lot of the redundant spots on the team need to, like that Blaziken and some other things, just need to go so that you give yourself some space and some room to, like, have good picks to fill out the rest of your team, but I don't know how many transactions you have left for the season. So, best of luck. We're going to move on to our next team, which I think is actually a pretty big jump from the last one, Everdread.
Agreed, I agree.
We've got Mega Gengar, Archaludon, or Archaludon, however people want to pronounce it. I know someone will get mad, so I did it both ways.
I think Arc sounds cooler, but...
I do too, but whatever. I live in Missouri, so I should say Arch, but anyway. Mousehold, Meowstic Mega, Palafin, Raptor, Meowscarada, Armourouge, Machamp, Alcremie. One thing I will say off the rip, Everdread, is there are 2 teams in the other division that look very similar to yours, and I like yours better than theirs. And I think I ranked it higher, so I will comment that off the rip. In terms of some of the stuff. Some things I like, I think I put the Mousehold as kind of the signature mon for this team because I really love how it pairs with the Arch and the Gengar. I think that is the best component of the team. I think Palafin is an awesome pick on this team. It feels very strong. I think it has a lot of good opportunity to come in and pivot out. The Raptor is also great. As an Intimidate pivot for mons that really want it. I think that the final Gambit set looks really good on a team like this, especially like a Perish team where you might want to quickly get a quick KO on something so that Gengar can get the Perish off easier. And its Tailwind also is nice, I think. And then I think just generally, that Gengar, Palafin, Meowscarada is a really good core of Pokemon to work with. I think in terms of cons, Mega Meowstic as your rain setter I think is kind of questionable, and you don't have good enough pivoting pieces overall to make that Perish mode very convincing. I said this in the other PRs, but you really want some like good fake out to like really facilitate that mode and some good bulky pivots, and you kind of just don't have those. I personally don't love that your 2 top mons that cost most of your budget share a ground weakness, especially in this division where pretty much every possible good ground type was in fact drafted. And I'm going to turn over to Wake for a second. I have more to say, but I'm going to let you kind of give some thoughts.
Yeah, so I agree with pretty much what you said. I think my big issue with this team is, like, I like a lot of the pieces in theory. Like, I think Gengar, Mousehold, Palafin is a great little combo of 3. My issue comes into, like, I just don't, like, there's a lot of good Pokemon here that are not, in my opinion, going to be able to be used to their fullest potential. Like, I think Gengar is best suited on a team where you can go Oonga Boonga Turbo damage output mode, and then you can also do the Perish thing, and I'm not quite convinced that this team's pivot pieces are strong enough for that to be super easy to pull off. And then like my other issue is like dark types, bro. Like dark types into this team.
Yeah.
Your answers are Machamp and Alcremie, which are not good enough. Like obviously dark types are not quite as oppressive as they were last gen. Like we don't have the Treasures of Ruin or anything, but I still think like
Snarl just
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Kingambit, Grimmsnarl, Hydreigon. Granted, 3 of the good dark types are on the same team, so maybe
you got one bad
that
MU.
team might actually be Cheeks, but
that MU's gonna be pretty rough, man.
Yeah, but and then it's also just like I guess like Play Rough Meowscarada also does decently into the dark types. Honestly, that actually, now that I'm looking at it, that probably actually is your best answer.
Yeah.
Which is something that's not terrible, but I just, given that like you have Gengar, both your Megas are weak to Dark, I think there should be more support to like help you deal with Dark types, and I just don't see that here. I don't know when you ever Mega Meowstick over Gengar.
You never do.
Like,
it's just
never.
Meowstick that can't run Focus Sash.
Which, like, I don't despise that, because it's like, it's fine. Like, it can't run Sash or Light Clay, but in a meta with no Cloak, too, it's like those items are probably the only ones it's really going to realistically want to run anyway. So, it's probably fine. Like, Armarouge and Staraptor, I really dig the Staraptor pick here, but I feel similarly about it and Armarouge as I do about Gengar and Arch and Palafin, where it's just like, I don't know that the like support is there to make them do their thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess with no like a bit like Psychic Surge, Prankster Psychic Terrain is actually probably the best you can do for Armarouge, so maybe that's okay right now. Personally, I just think Armarouge sucks right now, but
yeah.
Staraptor, like, I feel like, I don't know, like, it can be cool if it's on the kind of Scarf Final Gambit to get Trick Room up type of mode, but like you don't really have a Trick Room mode here. I don't know. Maybe that's a personal preference thing, but yeah, I think it's leaning a lot on like, okay, my Meowstic is gonna click Rain, but also if it's clicking Rain, there's no way I'm gonna Mega it, because am I really gonna use my Mega to click Rain? And also it lose Prankster, so because what does he get? Trace?
Yeah, it gets Trace.
That's so brutal.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are generally my thoughts. There is a significant jump from 11 to 10 here, though, in my opinion.
Yeah, we'll get into it with the rank 8 team, but like this ranking that this team got was not bad. Actually, most of the teams are pretty good. I will say too, just on the lack of Trick Room, there's 2 Trick Room setters that are like quote real setters. Like I consider the Meowstic and Armarouge to be the real setters, but neither of them have the speed tiers for it. I think that your low end speed tier is just not where it needs to be, honestly. And I don't buy Armarouge Meowstic as a great E-Force mode. Like, yes, you can Scarf Armarouge to get around that base 75 speed, and it can maybe work, but I don't super like it. And then if you're wanting Rain most of the time anyway, I don't think that it's doing a lot. And one thing that we're going to harp on kind of hard is wasted picks. I like a lot of teams have wasted picks where their Pokemon don't do anything, and that was something that Wake and I both felt pretty strongly about throughout the draft as being something that we were both pretty against in such a limited decks with such limited Pokemon. And having Pokemon that don't cohesion well or don't seem to have much of a niche or a purpose on the team tended to be a little bit harsher in this draft, both because most of the teams were decent in this draft, but also because it does really impact kind of how much you can use of your team. And a lot of the top teams do not have that issue. Any comments, Wake, further on this one?
No, I think that's all I've got on this one. I definitely don't think the team is trash. It's just the strong pieces are strong, but I would like them to be, they could easily be stronger with a slightly different comp here, I think, is my main thing.
Yeah. All right, moving right along. we're on to our 9th place team, which is Avon. Brant, first time ever drafted. And I know 9th might seem low, Avon, if you're watching this, but this was a pretty good division, and I will tell you, you did not do bad at all. Digging into it, I think off the rip, Sinistcha Kangaskhan, great combo. Really like that. I think that having that fake out, you can fake out Trick Room with that. The Sinistcha obviously is redirecting the fighting moves for the Kangaskhan. Great stuff. I also really like the Katora's Blaze here for some as a pivot piece for the entire team. I think it goes awesome. Scizor and Mamo are good picks in general. I think Polt works well enough as a support piece and giving you a really nice high-end speed tier. And I think that the Sylveon is a good pick in a vacuum. Sylveon's just a good mon to have. Now we kind of get into more of the nitpicks. I think probably the biggest thing, and Wake will probably agree with me, I think the fast speed control here is really lacking. You have some good priority with the Scizor, and I think Sinistcha covers Trick Room great. But it's like Quash Sableye, and like Thunderwave Bolt, and this team would love Tailwind somewhere, and would love having that option, especially for Sylveon and Mamo. Mamoswine not having a Pokemon to also click Earthquake next to is kind of rough for it. Mamoswine really likes to have either something like a Rotom to click Disquake into, where you click Discharge and Earthquake, or it really likes a flying type that will set Tailwind for it and then allows it to kind of go really fast. It's kind of the biggest issue with the team, in my opinion, really is that not having that fast speed control means that you're going to get blitzed by a lot of teams. You have a lot of bulk, which helps with that, and Scizor has really strong priority, which is nice, and you have some high-end speed tiers like the Polt and Greninja, but it's not going to give you enough of that. I think that you're going to find throughout your season that will be a major issue. What are you thinking, Wake?
Yeah, I mean, I like last time, I'm pretty much with you on what you said, and yeah, like this being your first draft, this is pretty dang solid. I think generally speaking, this doesn't have any of the issues that the last two teams had with, like, I don't think there's overwhelming like type chart issues here.
No.
And I
Fire
think
types a little bit, but there's good pivots.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, and like even then, like Mamo and Sinistcha can not be weak to fire if you need them to not be.
Yeah.
Which is cool. And like, yeah, Sylveon, I would like there to be a little more fast end speed control, because like Ryan said, I just think obviously its speed tier is just not good, and so having that would be nice. But like, yeah, you know, you do have like T-Wave Pult and Quash or Thunderwave on Sableye, and then you can also do.
I'm gonna confirm.
I did last
keep
gen.
Going.
Okay. Either way, you're probably running Quash, but I actually like the Kang a lot, and I'm totally okay with it being your only Mega here. Like, I think a lot of the times Kang tends to be a secondary Mega, like a 2 Mega kind of. Leans towards like 2 Mega kind of comps, but I think you've covered like its only weakness is fighting, and you have like 8 million good like you have like 3 immunities and a pretty solid resist in Sylveon, so like I think that type weakness is covered pretty well.
Team also matches up surprisingly well into Intimidate too, by the way.
Yeah, agreed. Because yeah, 3 of the physical attackers really you can't. Well, Polt and Mamo you can't. Kang you kind of can't.
You kind of can
later,
but
you can later, but you can't right now.
Good on lead, yeah.
And yeah, I mean overall, like the fast end speed tiers are nice. I wish there was a little more speed control, but it's not like cripplingly bad. If you had. Because the speed tiers are so good, like having Greninja and Polt on that top end really helps that for me, as well as like priority from Kang and Sylveon and Scizor as well being pretty decently strong. And I just maybe wish there was a little more of a Trick Room mode here, as opposed to just because the slowest is Sylveon. and Scizor.
Yeah, I think low-end speed tiers could be better, but they're not awful.
Well, there's Stunfisk is right there, dude.
Oh,
we're forgetting.
Right. The most important Pokemon.
But yeah, like definitely not a bad team, and like the Sinistcha Kang mode alone, I think will do a lot. Yeah, but that's about all I've got for that one.
All right, cool. We're moving on then. Toby is going to be 8th. I think that you're going to take this one off the rip.
Yeah. So this is another one, like, and I know Ryan kind of alluded to this, but just another disclaimer to make it clear, like, I don't personally think any of these teams were bad actively outside of Draco. No offense, Draco. Like, I think literally 10 on up are like solid teams, and they actually, like, this team probably would have been closer to like the middle of the pack in the other division.
I actually checked. Do you want to know what ranking this team would have gotten in the other division?
What?
This team would have been 6th or potentially 5th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that just illustrates to you this. I think Ryan and I were in agreement that. Well, we'll talk about trends between the two divs later. I think there's a slide for that. But Toby's team, I like it. Like, I think the Staraptor is decently well supported here. I think, you know, you have that Liepard to do like the self-charm thing and whatever if you want to, and like fake tears and all that stuff. I don't think you have to. And to tell you the truth, like, I think Staraptor is probably going to oftentimes be better being treated as like just like a normal attacker instead of like this turbo boss mode character, like a final boss mon. I think like Jolteon, I think, does a lot of heavy lifting here, and your speed control is like good. Like Prankster, Thunderwave, plus like a decent Tailwind setter and a fast E-Web user, is like, that's great. And Cofagrigus is very hard to. It's very hard to kill Cofagrigus in this format right now.
Yeah, you also got Sand.
Right, and then there's the Sand stuff, like Hippo's good under Trick Room, so there's a real Trick Room mode here. Yeah, Houndstone is legit, like a real Pokemon just coming in the back and clicking Last Respects 3 times and winning. Like, it's weaker than Basculegion, but it cleans up close enough to it, and I even liked, I really messed with the base Floette here.
I do too, a lot.
Like, that's a real mon. Like, it can do cool Scarf stuff. 125 special attack Moonblast and Light of Ruin is still just really, really strong. I'm not sold on the Mega Blastoise. I don't really see the support for it. I could see, like, maybe if you're just gonna go like Trick Room with like Rain Dance, like fake out Trick Room turn 1, Rain Dance, your Liepard goes down, and then you bring in Blastoise and click Water Spout a couple times. Like, I could see that being a legit flowchart for this team. But just generally speaking, I don't know how often you're gonna really be using Mega Blastoise, and I just don't love the pick here, because like, if you're not gonna Mega it, then my thought is like, okay, how good is it without Megaing on this team? And I really just don't see it providing much that like Kang isn't gonna provide without Mega. So that's a small thing. It's really the only pick here that I don't care for. I think all the others are pretty well positioned. I'm interested in the Sand mode. It's pretty cheap. Houndstone I thought was pretty good value on this list. I'm not sold on how good it's going to be, but I'm not writing it off either. I need to see it, because I've only ever really seen Hippo with Exca and Lycanroc, so I'm interested in that. But yeah, those are pretty much my thoughts on this one. What do you got, Ryan?
I like this team. I think this team is a pretty solid like attempt at a Mega Staraptor team, which is also a new thing, right? Like, so I think that Toby Toby's experience with like draft is showing here in the amount of speed control that is given, because with Mega Staraptor, you don't want it to be clicking Tailwind a lot, right? I think the Liepard does beautifully here. I think it's really good too for having anti-weather options as well, like in a pinch. There are a lot of good weather teams in this division, so having good anti-weather is nice. I like the sand mode. I am a little less convinced on it. The one thing with the sand mode is Hippo is so slow and Houndstone is so fast, and I find that when those two are on the field together, it can be a little awkward when I've seen it in the past. So I'm curious to see how it'll play out in Champions. I think one thing that I don't super love is that even though I think the Floette is doing a lot here, I think that the team is still mostly physical damage and output. Most of the big threats that I would consider really big threats are physical attackers. Jolteon is a special attacker, but Jolteon also doesn't hit that hard. Honestly, like, it hits a lot less hard than you'd like it to. And I think a Blastoise Mega will come for sure, but I think it's a lot harder to justify compared to bringing the Mega Raptor. So things like Will-O-Wisp especially just look really strong into this team on the whole. And I will say that that's one of probably my bigger concerns with it. Defensively, too, the team's kind of interesting. It's not like it has huge, like, crippling defensive weaknesses the way a lot of teams do, and a lot of the stuff is pretty bulky, which helps it eat hits. But I do think the team kind of can get smacked neutrally a little bit. Like, a lot of typings and attacks, like Fairy and Ghost especially, you can kind of just like click the button, and there's not a lot of great pivot options for it, I'm finding, on the team. So I think that was also something that held it back. Was not necessarily that the defensive synergy is bad, because I think it's actually overall decent. It's just that I don't see this team having a lot of good neutral counterplay to like good neutral play, the way that other teams that are a little defensively tighter or have more explosive, like more powerful, hyper offensive Pokemon do have to kind of mitigate that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I honestly don't have too much else to add on this one. It's solid. I like it.
Yeah, I think it's a cool team. I'm actually really excited to see it get played. Sorry that you're in 8th, man. It was a good division. Moving on. Radial, with good old 7th place. And I have to say, when I was looking up the art for all the mons, Mega Floette, one of my faves. So kind of hopping into this team. Radial's best feature of this team is the Trick Room mode, and it's not close. Radial probably has the best Trick Room mode, actually, potentially in the whole division. Like the Musharna, Mega Scrafty, Hydrapple, Mudsdale, like, man, that is nice. And then you have the Aegislash too, if you want it to be in the Trick Room mode. Speaking of which, Aegislash, awesome pick. Really like it. I like the kind of hyper offense oomph lead you can do with the Talonflame and the Floette, where you just can kind of get a bunch of damage off really fast. And I also kind of like too, like, it feels like Scrafty Mega and Floette Mega actually play nicely here. Like, I feel like they're both very legit options, and they can come to, Scrafty doesn't have to Mega and can still get value on this team. And you can also pivot it in as like Mega Scrafty for games where you want it in that Trick Room mode. In terms of the cons, the Blizzard mode is cool. I mean, Rotom Frost, Obama Snow, you're going to click Blizzard, it'll be really funny. You'll try to freeze me, I'm going to laugh. But fire types are really good into this team on the whole. Fire damage just hits everything really hard, and Talonflame's not like a real resist because it's Talonflame, so your resist is Milotic. And also, speaking of which, I think the Milotic also just feels a little limited in its options. I don't think it plays crazy well with most of your modes that you have going on. Like, yes, you can do like Gravity Hypnosis stuff, and you can like have it come out and it's good, like, Intimidate Deterrent, I guess, and things like that. But I don't think it's a piece that's going to get as much value as it kind of feels like it should be, because I feel like this team really does need a water type to kind of help it in a couple ways, especially because you already have good steel resist too for that Floette with the first couple picks with the Aegislash. I think Mega Scrafty as the only fake out isn't great when the fast mode is also kind of limited. I mean, the fast mode here is really Talonflame, Floette, and then whatever you can speed creep under Tailwind, which isn't awful, but there are other teams that can blitz that, or teams that can get speed advantage more easily and more quickly. But overall, it's a cool team. I think this team got a little bit bumped, actually, because I do think a few of the teams below it are in some ways have things that I like a little better, but the Trick Room mode was just so good, and a lot of teams kind of don't have a great Trick Room mode, and that did help us, I think, because this team, full disclosure, this team tied with Toby's team, but we decided to keep it one above just because its Trick Room mode was so good into the division.
Yeah, that is my number one pro with this team. I think is that the Trick Room mode is the best in the division, and I don't really think it's that close. That being said, I am in full agreement that fire types absolutely annihilate this team. Like, running it into the Delphox team, like, I'm sorry for what that team does to this team.
Yeah.
But
with an Excadrill on that team too, man.
Yeah, unfortunate. But you know, I mean, that's the major defensive hole. I don't see too many others that are like super glaring. I like the little budget blizzard mode. Like, I think that's pretty cool, especially like Talonflame should facilitate that decently well. I think Aegislash is like the best pick on this team just from like how it supports
100%
what else is here. Works on the Trick Room mode, works in the fast mode. I'm a big fan of that. It's not the typical Mega Floette support is not here. Like, I think, well, Prankster Tailwind is there. So I guess this mon is broken and you can run it in a bunch of different ways. I kind of
redirection would be nice on this team, I will say.
Redirection or screens, something like that.
Also to help with the Trick Room mode, honestly.
Yeah, and I don't really like. I don't get on people right now for not having redirection because there's only like 5 good ones.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you literally just can't get it, and like that's like whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the Trick Room mode is, like Ryan said, eventually what ended up giving it the edge over Toby's team, we thought, just by a little bit, even though we tied them in point value. But Musharna's goated.
I love Musharna.
Gen 9 babies may not know, but those who started in Gen 8 know the power of Musharna for sure.
Musharna is a broken Trick Room setter, man.
Is goated.
Yeah.
But yeah, solid team overall. Pretty solid team, and yeah, I think that's all I've got.
Yep. We're gonna move right along to Ollie, who got 6th place.
Okay.
I'll let you go, dude. This team.
Yeah. I mess with this team.
I do too.
in a way that's not necessarily like, oh, I think this team is like absolutely broken and the best team I've ever seen. It is good. That's why we gave it 6th. And I think I gave it the same score as the next team up. I'm not sure about what Ryan gave it, but
I gave the other team above it slightly higher, but yeah.
Okay. But I think it's close, and so I think the cool thing about this team is like Venusaur is just so awesome here. Like having the option to go like Sun Klefki and like spam Sleep Powder if you want, and then you also obviously have the Politoed, and we've seen from ladder and stuff that Rain Venusaur is Mega is just like fantastic. Skarmory I think is a nice secondary Mega for it. Like they technically sort of not real well, I mean thick fat, so they don't really share a fire weakness anyway, but then Rain helps with that too. If you don't Mega Venusaur and you do Mega Skarm, you're still a little less worried about that, which is cool. And like I think my major, I guess, gripe with this team would be, one, I I just there's just a few picks that I'm not sold on, like Infernape and Blastoise. I'm a little bit like, because
Infernape
I'm
is a
not
big one for me.
sure. Yeah, I'm not sure about that and Blastoise. Again, they're not like bad, but I don't know like why you need Infernape when you have Typhlosion and you already have I think a fake out mon that fits better on the team like Blastoise. That being said, Infernape is the fastest mon here, and I think generally that's a little bit of an issue I have with this team is that the speed tiers are not fantastic. Um, Especially since like the one mon with a really good speed tier is I think just doesn't really fit the team that well in Infernape. But I mean, Skarmory has base 110, so like that's when it megas, so like that's fine. Um, the speed control is solid. Mimikyu is one of the most consistent Trick Room setters. Klefki also gets Trick Room, and just by nature of its typing is a pretty consistent setter, as well as having Thunder Wave and all the other shenanigans. Vivian can set Tailwind, Skarmory can set Tailwind. So the speed control itself, I don't take any issue with. And then you even have like the little mode. There's just lots of cool combos here that I really think are going to make this team a little hellish to prep for, because it's like, I don't know how you craft a lead that's like super consistent into like just straight up like Klefki Venu or like Politoed Venu, and also like Klefki Sunny Day next to Scarf Typhlosion. Like, to me, there's just a lot of like good lead potential here. I would like there to be maybe a little more like burst damage, because I think Typhlosion is kind of the only mon that really achieves that. But I just, yeah. And Como too, I didn't even talk about. I think that's a cool pick here. Like, defensively speaking, you have more than enough answers to fairy types, and getting that setup going with Klefki I think should be pretty doable. But yeah,
Vivillon,
and redirection from Vivillon, yeah. So yeah, I like the team.
Yeah, I mean everything you said. I love the Mega Venu on this team. I love that it can run both like bulky, I'm in the rain and I won't die stats, and it can run I have a Mega Stone, but I'm just gonna click the chlorophyll button. I think it's so cool. I think it's really sick. Yeah, I think for me, what really held the team back was some of that initial burst damage, along with the speed tiers of the team. I also just don't like Infernape as the one fake out setter, because I don't like the pick very much. I'd much rather that be another fast fake out setter.
Blastoise is there, technically.
I think Blastoise is really the fake out for this team, but I would prefer a faster fake out setter, especially for a team that has Klefki as like a kind of a linchpin Pokemon. That said, Klefki is not solely left on its own. We had another team that we talked about that drafted Klefki, where it felt like Klefki had to do way too much and was way too pressured, and I don't feel that way with this team. I think the Politoed and the Mimikyu really, and Vivillon, honestly, I'll give that mon a lot of breathing room to really kind of excel. I love the Typhlosion pick on this team a lot. I think it's actually one of the best picks on the team. I think it's really cool. I think Mega Skarm Venu is a nice combo. The Politoed pick was really sick, and I think the Klefki does a lot here to make a really unique, really cool team. I'm very excited to see this team get a lot of play. I think that one other note is I think that the team has a little bit of issue with Quake Slide. It's not awful.
Yeah.
But it is bad enough in a division where Quake Slide is a very common coverage that I think it's at least worth mentioning as being something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
I think like, Ali, do not take this as an insult, because you've drafted some goofy ass teams. I can't deny, and like, it is. I have not even like been concerned about it for like years, because I just know that you know what you want and you get it, and you usually do really well with it. So this is not intended to be like a cut, but a lot of Ollie teams, I am like, this team is weird and like not in a way that I like, but this team is weird in a way that I like. Which doesn't mean anything for like the points necessarily, like how we rated it. That's just like a personal preference. Like, I would like to use this team, and I think I've almost never said that about Ollie teams before.
Funnily enough, the last Sandbox PR I did with Ollie, it was very similar. Ollie ranked higher on that PR, but also it was like, I was like, I really fuck with this team. I know I've said some shit over the years where I don't really get your teams, but you do well with them and you like them, but I like that one, and this is continuing that trend of Ollie teams that I like, both like that I think are good and also look really cool and weird and fun. I will say this is probably, I think, my favorite in terms of just sheer cool factor of this draft. I think it's the coolest team for sure.
I think, yeah, I think one that we'll talk about later comes pretty close for me, but this one is top 2 at least.
Yeah. All right, moving right along, we have number 5 with Kool-Aid. Most important thing on this team is that Vanillux is the linchpin Pokemon because it can click Beat Up into the Annihilate. For those that don't know, in the last PR, we commented that Vanillux that there was no Beat Up partner for an Annihilate, and it turned out Vanillux did. And what's funny is I remember actually going into Showdown and typing in Beat Up and filtering, and I either didn't get down to V to see Vanillux, or I read Vanillux and ignored it. So one of those two things.
What is it beating up with? It's straw?
I think the rage of people mad there's an ice cream Pokemon.
Okay, it makes sense
okay,
now.
so talking about this team, for real this time, it's very good. The reason it is 5th is extremely simple. It does not have a Trick Room setter. That's kind of a big deal, honestly. The fact that it got 5th despite not having a Trick Room setter is kind of a miracle, honestly. Because it's really good otherwise. The Tailwind mode's great. I think, like, you look at the first, like, 5 Pokemon of Metagross, Grimmsnarl, Arrow, Prim, Annihilate, and you're just like, wow, so strong. And then you have Diggersby too, which I think pairs beautifully with Aerodactyl. It's such a good Pokemon. I think the Raichu Y is actually kind of usable here as well. I don't think it's going to come that often, especially with a Mega Metagross, but it'll have its place. The Diggersby is a great pick. Goodra's a nice bulky pivot. And actually, I think Vanillux does do a little bit more on this team than some other ones. I don't think it necessarily gives you the anti-weather that you're hoping for. But there are some MUs where I think it's actually kind of good in this division. And I think that it's supported a little better here with the Aerodactyl. So I think it's kind of a real pick. And the Goodra's nice, and yeah, I mean, this is a great team outside of the fact that it has literally no Trick Room option, which that is a big sticking point for me. So you can go off.
Yeah, I am in agreement with the lack of Trick Room setter at all. Like, even if you don't have a mon that's like Aromatisse, Musharna, Cofagrigus, like dedicated, like this mon is here to click Trick Room. Like, at least have a Pokemon that learns it, so you could reverse it.
So you can reverse it.
Especially when, like, your speed tiers here are, like, not slow either. So I see this team potentially being a little weak to Trick Room. I mean, like, Prim is slow-ish, and Iron Ball's back in the game now, so, you know, you have a little extra counterplay there, which I like. Thank you, Game Freak, for adding Iron Ball back.
Yeah,
but
God bless.
I recall people getting mad at me on a PR in GLD. I think it was like season 6. I think it was M-Boss's team. It was like this Prio Spam team, and I was leaning, like, putting it in A tier, and then I realized it had no Trick Room and no Fake Out, and I was like, oh, this is a C tier team. And everyone was like, bro, you can't be serious. I was serious, and I'm still serious. Now, this team has 2 Fake Outs, so obviously I'm not saying that is an issue. That being said, Raichu Y, don't, just get rid of it. It doesn't need to be here. Like, base Raichu, like, there's some decent mons that want Lightning Rod here. But, like, base Raichu with no Sash is just buns. And I think Raichu Y is also just kind of buns. I don't, like, just Mega your Metagross. And if you want something that's going to be, like, I don't know. For instance, I think something Ryan and I talked about when we were doing the rankings together yesterday. Mega Man Ectric, I think, would be much better on this team. And I think it's cheaper, so then you could trade Furfuru up to be something real like Simipour or whatever, right? Um, Again, Raichu Y is fine. Like I'm not like that's really honestly my only gripes with the team are lack of Trick Room, and I think Raichu Y is a little misplaced. Everything else is great. Um, yeah, it's just those couple of things. And we're getting to the point now where it's a little nitpick. I'm at least for me getting a little more nitpicky now because these teams are getting to be really really solid.
Yeah, I think that the no trick room for me was kind of a deal breaker. Top 5 was able to be identified pretty early on, honestly, but that was what knocked this team to the bottom of top 5, I think.
Yep, for both of us.
Honestly, even if Raichu Y changed to Mega Manetric just to give you like 3 points to grab the worst fucking trick room setter of all time, I might put this in 4th place. So.
Yeah, right.
Truly. Okay, moving on. Number 4, we have Joshi. Josh's team does rip. I really like some of the elements of it a lot. The double Intimidate core with the Instant Gyarados, awesome. You've got the Clefable Redirection, which I love. Clefable Redirection for T-Tar especially. I think it's really good with the Mega T-Tar. You've got Disquake with the Rotom Excadrill. You've also got Excadrill Sand. You've got Delphox that's standing next to the Excadrill while you're clicking Earthquake. I think T-Tar doesn't ever have to Mega, so that you can be kind of flexible with your Mega slotting if you want to be. Reuniclus gives you some Trick Room as well, which is nice. Overall team's really good. It's got pretty much all the core elements you would want in a draft team. It's got fast tailwind, it's got great redirection, it's got really honestly great pivoting, good defensive synergy overall, and the Delphox gives you I think a nice additional mode and is a good Mega, but also T-Tar Mega will be usable on this team. I think and Banette is a real Pokemon as well. I think for me the big thing is and again, we're nitpicking at this point pretty hard. Reuniclus is strong, and it's actually a lot stronger because Life Orb got added, which is really good for that mon. But it's not, I don't think the Trick Room is quite enough. I think the Trick Room is really Reuniclus Instant Clef T-Tar, which isn't bad by any stretch, but I don't know if it's going to be quite enough. I also think there is a little bit of like, off the rip damage isn't awful on this team, but there's a surprising amount of lower attacking stats outside of that like Excadrill Delphox like kind of like immediate damage, I think. So I think that this team can sometimes be a little back foot on turn 1 specifically, just off of that, but then I think gets a lot of momentum in the mid game and has really nice pivots. And yeah, it's a great team. I mean, I really didn't hate it or anything even close to it. I actually really like this team, and I think it's gonna do really well. It's one of those teams that can, I think, effectively win any matchup it gets into because it has the tools. But I think that's true of all three teams that are after it too. So then at this point we're really just in that nitpicky zone. What do you got, Wake?
Yeah. I mean, this team is great. I think Delphox T-Tar is one of the better pairs of Megas in this division, just in terms of like what they do for each other, how they support each other. I think you're probably gonna Mega Delphox more because it sucks without Mega, but like you have another Fire type, you have another Psychic type even, you have T-Tar that can Mega obviously, so like definitely not terrible. You have 4 Earthquake immunities, which I'm a huge fan of. You have fast Tailwind, you have Redirection, you have good Trick Room setter. I'm with Ryan on like the Trick Room mode doesn't seem super fleshed out to me, like but really again outside of Radials I think that kind of applies to most of the teams in this division. And part of that is there's just not that many good slow mons right now.
Shout out to Araquanid, my goat.
True. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have a whole lot to add for this one that Ryan didn't already kind of say. I think like the defensive synergy here is good despite some repeat typings. Like it doesn't really bother me.
Yeah.
Because those repeats are covered for pretty well. I think your pivot pieces with like Rotom, Incin, and Gyarados, like that just gives you a super strong like revolving door. Um, and it's nice too because they're your Firewater Grass course. I like the cohesion there between those picks, and um, Delphox not being your only fire or psychic type means that I think it frees up T-Tar to Mega a lot more, which I like. Yeah, it's a good team. I think for me, it lost out to the three teams above it for a little bit of lack of immediacy, and kind of underdeveloped Trick Room mode, like Ryan said. But again, those aren't really huge issues. This team rated really, really well between both of us.
Yeah, top 4 was tight, and we'll get into actually the top 2 a little bit because oh my god.
Yeah.
Next we have third, which is Charles. I'll go ahead and start this one. C-Brad, and the progenitor of our Chud division title we rightfully earned. It was actually good. Charles released a team breakdown yesterday that I actually watched prior to recording this, which gave me a little bit more insight into his drafting process and actually made a few things on the team make a little bit more sense to me. Most notably the Volcarona, where he basically was like, there's like no good fire types in this draft, so I'm just taking Volcarona because it's a good fire type and it synergizes with Chomp. And you know what? Fair enough. It was actually an element of the team I wasn't as sold on, but I thought was still good. But after hearing that, I was like, okay, that's fair. Yeah, Garchomp's one of the best Pokemon in the whole format. Same with Basket Legion, and a lot of people wanted Basket Legion. If Charles hadn't grabbed it, I would have on this turnaround of draft. So made a lot of sense to grab that. I'm surprised it went as long as it did. Arrow, Mega Arrow is amazing in this format, I think.
Yeah.
Literally the fastest Pokemon. Crazy fast Tailwind. Doesn't have to burn your Mega if you don't want it. The Electros looks really fun. I think it's pretty well supported here. The Earthworm, it's funny because Charles said he hates it, but I think the Earthworm is so sick on this comp. It does a lot for the defensive synergy. I love it with the Garchomp and the Aerodactyl especially. With that Electros, you have so many nice like ground immunities that like you can really play with. I think Aromatisse Snorlax is a pretty decent Trick Room mode. I'm pretty sold on Aromatisse as a Pokemon in general. I think it's really good. I think Snorlax also does give you some flexibility to like play into other people's Trick Room pretty well. Is it the most fleshed out Trick Room mode? I would not say so, but I do think that it is a nice two-piece combo that works. Toxicroak is kind of interesting. I actually think Toxicroak's one of my bigger critiques of the team, and that I don't see yourself having the room to slot it a lot of the time. It's not a bad Pokemon, but I just don't see how with the other stuff you have, you're gonna manage to fit Toxicroak on a lot of teams, and it's your fake out. So I do think that that's worth noting. And Sceptile's cool. I mean, for how cheap it is and for what it's offering you, I think it's kind of a neat Pokemon. I don't really have any like major critiques of it. I think that'll be fun. Yeah, team's just really good though. I mean, honestly, you can just lead the top 4 Pokemon and win every game if you play it right. And that's kind of the thing about this team that gave it the edge over Joshi, I think, was that, I mean, you just kind of look at it and you're like, well, yeah, you can, like, what do I do into that? You know, like a little bit more. I think it had more of that elements to its draft that really sold me on it. So great draft, and cool breakdown if you want to hear more from the coach that built it.
Yeah, agreed on the breakdown was very good. I recommend watching it. Yeah, I mean, this team is goated. Like, I think that, like Ryan said, I think Aerodactyl honestly was probably could and maybe should have been more expensive on this list in hindsight. I think like what it offers in this current limited decks is pretty unique, in that it is the fastest Pokemon and it's also insanely strong. Like, I know we have a lot of, in larger decks formats, we get a lot of those silly fast mons like Ninjask and stuff that don't actually do anything, but like this mon is super scary, and like Electros I think is a great secondary option with it, just because it's like you do not need to Mega Aerodactyl. Like, you can just click Tailwind with it, and then, you know, let Garchomp and Eel do their thing. Everybody who knows me knows that I'm a big fan of fast Tailwind, EQ, Disquake shenanigans, and this team does those things very well. That's not even mentioning the fact that you have the fastest Tailwind in the format that's non-Prankster, there's 2 of those, right? Whimsicott and Talonflame, I think that's it right now. And then you have Basculegion, which is like kind of just basically the best non-mega attacker like available right now. I just think that's like really strong, and like, yeah, I'm a big Aromatisse fan. I have that thing in 2 leagues right now, and it's turbo goated, for lack of a better term. But yeah, I'm a big fan of this team. Like, all the picks, I think, do something. The Snorlax, I'm kind of on, like, it's whatever. But everything else here, like, and as much as Charles was like, you know, the Volk is just kind of here because I needed a fire type, like, I like it here. Like, the support isn't quite there, I think, to like get it set up going, but just being like a strong special attacker under Tailwind.
Yeah,
is, like,
with Rage Powder too.
enough.
I mean,
yeah,
it's
redirection. Nice. Yeah, agreed. But yeah, I like this team a lot. I'm very excited to see how Electros works out.
Yeah, I did ask what Pokemon wanted to represent the team, and the pick was Electros for coaches listening.
Yeah, I think it could very easily be really bad, but I think it could also very easily be really good. So I'm very interested in that one. But
yeah, I think this team can make it work too.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. But I think that's all I've got on this one.
Yep, nice team, awesome job. Okay, next 2. I do want to open this one. So we have Ed in second, and I want to say that does leave me in first. Spoilers. The discussion over who got first and second, I think, was like 25 to 30 minutes long. Like, it was.
Yeah.
It was pretty intense. We eventually decided on Ed, and we'll get into it, but we do need to talk about this team, and also what I think is ultimately the most undertiered mega on the list, which is Pyroar. But, like, you look at this team, and, like, goddamn, dude. Like, this team is the first Mega Garchomp team I've seen in Champions drafts so far that makes me go, wow, Mega Garchomp looks really good here instead of regular Garchomp. It's the first one, and, you know, that alone, huge compliment. Because it has that Whimsicott Tailwind, and it's still in that Disquake mode with the Rotom, looks awesome. Corviknight is such a good defensive pick for this team. It's so good for the Sneasler and the Whims. Farigiraf just guaranteeing that Whimsicott can get stuff off, and then also giving you that Trick Room. The Pyroar is insanely well supported here. Whimsicott can click Tailwind Sunny Day, and it will burn your whole team alive. I really like Scrafty here for the Trick Room mode. I think it gives you that nice fake out, that classic fake out Trick Room option, and I think it's a really good mon for it. Then we get into the last couple picks. I think this is where the team loses me a little bit. I think the Spirit Tomb is a wasted pick, frankly, and that was actually the biggest reason this team is not number 1, honestly, was that nitpick. The Spirit Tomb doesn't really give you anything that you're not getting from the Farig and the Simisear. But yeah, high-end speed tiers are outstanding. But I love the Mega Pyroar. I think Mega Garchomp looks really good here. Sneasler, Whimsicott for Rig. I mean, come on, man. Like, what do you... what a core. I mean, it's a really good team. I really like it a lot, and I think it's going to do very well. And the nice thing, too, is Mega Pyroar doesn't need Sun to like do a lot of damage, but I'm glad that the Prankster option is there with support and with modes that are as strong as everything else. Like, if this was just a Sun option, I would not be thrilled with it, but with how multi-layered the team is, like, just having that as a cherry on top is just so good. So what do you got, Wake?
Yeah, so you quite literally cannot get better speed control than this team has.
Yeah, no.
You have the best Tailwind setter and the best Trick Room setter, And even if this was a Nat Dex league, I think the only way it could be better is if you had Torn over Whimsicott. And even then, there's teams that like Whimsicott better and there's teams that like Torn better.
This
Regardless,
team better.
Yeah, this is literally the best speed control you could have, which is amazing. Like right off the bat, it's just going to be like if this team wants to do something, it has the pieces to do it, like almost always. Not to mention you have like one of the fastest fake outs in the game with Sneasler. You have a nice little bulky setup mon with Corv. Pyro just annihilates stuff, and having Wims is probably in draft its best partner, I would think. If you're just going like one Pokemon pairs best with it, it's probably Whimsicott. Yeah. But even like Sneasler, you can do like acid spray shenanigans with it too. And then you've got the little Disquake mode going on. Yeah, I mean, this team is just awesome. Like, we'll talk a little more when we get to Ryan's team, like what I thought gave it a little more of an edge. But I think just like the immediacy that Whimsicott and Farigiraf provide this team is almost unrivaled in this division. And the ability to kind of like just impose Ed's will on his opponents, which is a scary thought. But like, yeah, like I said, this team is going to be able to do what it wants pretty much whenever it wants. And I think for many of the opposing teams, the issue is not going to be how do I stop what Ed wants to do, and more, okay, Ed's going to do what he's going to do. Now, how do I beat that once it's going? Just because the pieces here are so consistent and the bulk here is good. And again, like Ryan said, I mess with the Mega Chomp here, weirdly enough. Generally, I do not mess with Mega Chomp. But here, I'm like, yeah, it works. But yeah, Team Goated.
Yeah,
one of the best.
I love this team.
I think one of the best. I mean, Ed drafts well pretty often, but I think this is one of my favorite teams I've ever seen him draft.
I think this is my favorite Ed team I've seen, for sure.
Yeah.
If you're in the comments and you're feeling like Ed should have gotten one over me, I actually don't even blame you. Like I said, we talked about it at length. So
I do agree though. Spiritomb and Simisear. I mean, Simisear's whatever. It's like a 2-pointer.
Yeah, but like it's that portion of your budget, you know.
Spiritomb is 11. I think, if I'm remembering correctly.
It is.
11 points for that thing when it's really not doing anything unique here. Not a fan of that. Like, you have 2 faster Wisp users. You have a Dark type already. I guess you don't have a Ghost type, so there's that. But I think Spiritomb is a waste of points. Other than that, and honestly, if Spiritomb was its own piece, like, that did something unique, I might have given it to... number one.
I frankly probably would have.
I think that that's how small of a margin we're talking here. That like one different pick, and I think it probably goes to Ed. But yeah, like I said, Team Goated.
Yeah, team rules. Love it. Great job, Ed.
You want me to start on yours?
Oh yeah, I don't want to talk about my own team at length.
Yeah. So we did end up going with number 1, or with Ryan for number 1. Going into it, Ryan's was my favorite, and we discussed it in a call yesterday, kind of went through every team in order, and just kind of talked, and if I'm remembering correctly, yeah, like the scores between Ed and Ryan were very, very close. So then
honestly, Charles was not that far behind, and neither was Rishi,
right.
So.
Yeah, and so we kind of had to have a discussion about how we were going to order these. Even though some of them scored higher and lower, like they were all close enough that we still kind of wanted to just run through them all and make sure we were on the same page about things. So that being said, I think the number one thing that this team has going for it, that it does better than I think pretty much the rest of the division, is modes, and not just that there are a lot of modes, but that they're all very, very, very potent modes. Like, you have Basculegion in the rain, you have Scizor in the rain, Overquill in the rain. Like, those are all very scary combos. You have Prankster Psychic Terrain for Gardevoir, so you can do the double E-Force shenanigans. Again, would it like to have Indeedee? Yeah. We don't have that right now, so this is kind of the best you're going to do. But even if you're not doing the E-Force stuff, like, Meowstic just provides a lot of stuff to this team. I think it doesn't have the strongest speed control in the division by any means, but I think Meowstic being able to Thunder Wave stuff, and then like Basculegion just having Swift Swim on its own, and like you have decent Tailwind setters with Pelipper and D-Knight. Like, I think that works fine enough.
I think the Prio is really the thing that helps the most. Just D-Knight, E-Speed, Scizor, Bullet Punch.
Yep, E-Speed, Bullet Punch. You have 2 Aqua Jet users in Overquill and Basculegion, which in the rain is obviously pretty threatening. And then Audino is like probably the best 1-pointer on the board. I actually don't even think it's probably. I think it like is not even close that it's the best on the board. So that's cool, and like even if it doesn't do anything, like it theoretically could, and that's fine enough for me for a 1-pointer. I like having Rhyperior for the Lightning Rod thing, and like at first I was like, I'm not sure about 4x Water Wakeman on a rain team. It drops to water moves anyway, so like,
yeah, no, it just dies.
Like it's gonna die regardless.
If I'm running it and I don't want Lightning Rod, I just run Sturdy. So
does it get Sturdy?
I think it does. Isn't it alternate ability Sturdy, or is it
Solid Rock and
it's Reckless. Yeah, never mind.
Reckless, which is like, it literally gets like double edge, and that's anyway.
I got room for a Sash. It's fine.
Right. Yeah, and yeah, really, like Meowstic and Pelipper can want Sash, but they don't need it. So I think you honestly could run Sash Rhyperior if you wanted to. Sash Bask too if you wanted. Like, having no mons that are like, I must have Sash to do anything is just great, because then like you just can place Sash in like weird spots on your team, which I think has a lot of value. Like, I remember in a couple of restricted leagues I've seen like people just throwing Sashes on their restricted sometimes, and I'm just like, oh, I guess I lose. That's cool. Sorry, I didn't expect Sash Palkia, or something like, right? Like, sometimes a well-placed like Sash that's not where your opponent thinks just kind of wins. The item is insane. But anyway, I think I said that I believe Joshi, the Delphox, and T-Tar was kind of like the best 2 mega core we had talked about yet, but I personally think Guardy Scizor beats that out. And I think the fact that like Guardy and Scizor on their own without Mega are like totally usable, especially when you have that Fantasy Core with the D-Knight, super awesome. And yeah, just the fact that like you have a lot of burst damage here, you have good spread damage, you have lots of priority, but you also have Fake Out, Screens, Prankster Thunderwave, a couple of good Tailwind Mons, Intimidate, solid pivot pieces in like Rotom and Overquill. I just think there's a lot here, and while the support options are not as potent as Ed's, I think the individual modes and like 2-mon combos are probably more potent than any other team in the division. Even Ollie's, which I think that was the biggest strength of Ollie's team, I think this team actually just does that a little better. But yeah, I mean, that's most of what I have to say about this team. I think the thing that gave it the edge to me over Ed was just that while it's maybe a little harder for some things on this team to get going just because the support options are not as overwhelming, the versatility of this team I think will make it a little more difficult to prep for, because like Ed's team is the type where it's like, I know what you're gonna do, the question is, can I stop it? Whereas this team is much more, I don't really know what you're gonna do, so I kind of have to make a lead and a flowchart and a game plan that kind of covers a couple of different things, which I think when built correctly can be a little more threatening in draft. That's coming from the guy who drafts that first type of team like almost every time I draft anything. I think that second type of team that's a little more flexible is a little scarier sometimes. But yeah, I mean, I know I just said that was all I had like 5 minutes ago, and then I kept talking, but I think that's all I've got. Ryan, do you want to kind of give any insights on the team?
Yeah, nothing too much. I mean, you covered, I think, a lot of the bases. I like my own team. I thought it would rate high. I wasn't actually going into this PR expecting first, though, necessarily, but that's kind of how the cookie crumbled here. Because I usually, when I have, one of the reasons I actually usually ask somebody is if I have a team that I think is really good for PRs, which sometimes I don't, but especially if I have a team that I think is really good and has a shot at winning it, I always like to get a collaborator to kind of have them kind of take the charge on, like, okay, where do we want to put my team, you know? So Wake and I, though, Wake covered most everything. I think Audino for 1 point is a crime. That mon is so good. Thank you, Matt Alcina, for showing me the way many years ago. Audino is great.
Simple beam, click Calm Mind with Guardy, GG's.
Dude,
shake my hand.
I might. Everyone thinks about Audino
not,
for Simple Beam, but its real best trait is that it's a normal type Trick Room setter, which is a unique typing for a Trick Room setter. And it's very slow, and it gets Helping Hand, like, heal pulse, and, like, doesn't die. So it's, like, just super consistent at clicking Trick Room, and that's kind of all it does, but it is better at it than, like, every other Pokemon in the game. That, for its, like, value, I will say. Cool.
Yeah.
We also, before we close off this PR completely, we wanted to do an All-Star versus Chud Division draft comparison. So something that we noticed that I wanted to just touch on was overall the Chud Division drafts are better than the All-Star drafts by a not insignificant margin. There are some reasons for this that are obvious off the bat. Probably the biggest one, in my opinion, is that there were 11 coaches instead of 12 in this division, which meant there were a lot more good Pokemon on the board to pick from. And then there was also a lot more time to plan picks since the All-Stars only had 5 minutes between picks. There is kind of a counterpoint there, though, which is the gap is really sizable in bottom to mid-ranking teams, in Chud's being just really so much better. Like, I commented on Toby's that Toby would have gotten, like, 6th or 5th in the other division, and Toby did not rate lower than... Toby had the same rating as Radial, which means Radial is placing the same, and the teams under that, for the most part, rated pretty high. Honestly, too, while I will be honest, no team beat Wakeman's in terms of ranking overall. The top 4 in this division did rank really high, and all were ranked in the same range that the other PRs ranked Sepsi's team, which was 2nd. It was in that same ballpark range for all of them, which I think is just notable on its face, and I thought was kind of interesting, and I wanted to touch on it. I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts from the All-Stars division, Wake.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with you. Like, it's like pretty obvious that having less time for picks is just going to impact the quality of teams, especially in a community that I think generally many of us either have never done a live draft or it has been years since they did a live draft. Like, I think out of our division, a handful had, but like, for instance, me and Raz used to do them in VBA, and it's been, years since we
remember
played
that time
that.
I drafted for Dan in VBA when he was on a flight?
I do remember that, and it was like a Dan team still. That was funny.
It was so good.
Was that the purple team?
That was the all purple team with the mini hail mode that I came up with. That team slapped. It won the season.
Yeah. But like, I'm with you. Like, I think my team probably beats out all the teams here, and I think Draco's team is the worst out of all 23, kind of by a little bit of a kind of a significant margin, in my opinion, honestly. But yeah, by and large, like, I think the average rating for Chud division was surely higher, and I think that's the thing is, right? Like, just because there was a division of like ADL champions and non-ADL champions, like, it doesn't really mean a whole lot for like the skill level of the players, because obviously, like, I know this goes without saying, like, a lot of people just haven't, a couple haven't really played an ADL much,
Shout
or
out.
they, have once or twice. Like you and Charles, like I think you guys have maybe played once each, maybe.
Yeah, I played
I
all
don't actually
season.
know if I don't know if Charles has played at all. So, you know, like it's not, I think, gonna necessarily. So then I just think it makes sense if you think about, like, okay, caliber of coach, more or less equivalent throughout the divisions, just in terms of experience and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fact that one had time between picks and the other did not, I think it just kind of follows pretty logically that on average the teams in Chud division were better.
And also having one extra coach in the All-Star division was definitely a big deal.
Makes a difference, especially in this Dex with how limited a lot of the like roles and typings and speed tiers and options are, which is, I guess, another kind of broader comment I have regarding some of the comments I made on teams that I think I didn't clarify super well, was like having such limited options to get like a certain typing or a certain speed tier or a certain role, like fake out, intimidate, trick room, tailwind, just made me a little more offended than usual by kind of like needlessly overlapping typings or like multiple dedicated trick room setters. I'm like, you need your 10 picks to be used efficiently, I think. And obviously if you're gonna have like a 1-pointer in there, that's fine. Everybody knows I'm not opposed to top heavy teams, but yeah, I think the general lack of options just means you need to be more careful with each pick. And so that's why I kind of was harping pretty hard on a lot of the repeat overlapping picks and stuff. But that's about it, though. I know I just kind of yapped for a minute. But
well, I just wanted to touch on it because while like we said, it doesn't really matter which division has the better teams in a vacuum anyway. Content's content, games are games, coaches are coaches. Ultimately, drafts always come down to however well you play, right? But it is fun to. I like the speculation. I think it's fun to do. And
I have no doubt that I do think Draco is probably going to make playoffs with that team. I mean, like, I've seen him. He literally went undefeated and won GLDL with a team. It was better than this one, but I looked at it, I was like, this team kind of sucks, and there's like 3 fire types for no reason and like 2 dark types for no reason, and then he literally won it going undefeated.
Ollie's my favorite example of that, but yeah, I mean, of course, that's always a possibility.
Ollie does that too. I've known Draco to do it, so obligatory PRs are not predictive of results comment, but yeah.
All right, so thank you all for watching so much. Please send all complaints to Wakeman VGC because I don't want to answer them. That's his secretary, by the way.
Oh yeah, she is.
And we'll end on that note. Goodbye.